All right, everybody. Hey, good evening. It's Ethan Evans. I'm glad to see you. Welcome in to my show where tonight we're going to talk about career development plans. But let's not jump right into that so quickly. We can have some fun first. We are going to talk about career tips, career development, and specifically stuff you can apply tomorrow morning if it's night where you are, or right now if it's morning where you are, to get your career on a faster track. Remember, the point of my show is to help you speed run your career. So if you're interested in that, that's what we do. So the first order of business, which we'll probably revisit during the night, but 40 Pink Dragons has pointed out that our tradition of having a drink of the day should really be announced early in case anyone wants to drink along at home. Always responsibly, please. No deaths on our watch. But a couple weeks ago, we had Kristen on the show. And as you may know, Kristen got promoted to management. And she's now in her new management role. And she's going to come back on our show right after Christmas. She's going to come back on, January 8th, I think. And talk about how it's going. Now that she's come over to the dark side like me and is in management, how is that working out for her? So, hey, great for her. But her parting gift to me, her brother works at a whiskey distillery, which is a good thing to have your brother do. Hey, thank you, Hephaestus. Appreciate the sub very much. Appreciate all your support and connections here in Seattle. So this is her brother's distillery, and she gave me a bottle of whiskey, which, as you can see, we just cracked open. And so tonight's drink, because I have a sweet tooth, is a whiskey sour. Or, as my mixologist told me, apparently it's a double. So we'll be going a little slowly, and unlike last week's margaritas, no free refills on the show. And hey, there's Devin. Devin and the Nash Nation just showed up with 300 viewers. So welcome into the Nash Nation. And here come the cats. All right, we're going to have a distraction because I know all about the cats. And I know there was a catastrophe today in Devin's channel, or maybe it was last night. He got the damn cat. So the backstory on this is Devin was making fun of a promotion done by my old team, the Bits team. And no, not everyone in chat can spam the cat. So welcome into the Nash Nation. We're going to talk about career development plans, and I'm going to help you speed run your career here in a second. But they were trying to get everyone the cat emote, or they were trying to get Devin the cat emote. And people kept spending money to get him the cat, and they just couldn't make it happen. And so Devin finally, though, unfortunately, or fortunately, got the cat emote, which ended a huge amount of bits spending and support of his channel. So the cat was the holdout. That's right, Chalupa. So we're distracted from our show, but that's okay. I'm glad you're here. We're going to get right into my rant. Oh, wow, Furrow Key. Holy mackerel. Thank you, Furrow. That's amazing. I don't even know how many gifted subs that was. I'll have to count them up. Looks like 50 maybe? Yeah, 50 tier 1 subs. Holy smokes, Furrow. That's amazing. You know you didn't have to do that. So I guess that means we gotta thank Furrow Key, and we gotta talk about why he's amazing and why he would give a gift of that size. We were gonna celebrate that. And 250 emotes got shared with people in chat. So God bless Furoki. And I hope all of you who are subscribers stick around. But the story with Furrow is, you all know Furrow. He's had his name on the show before. He's Bilal. And Bilal got his internship at Twitch. So the good thing that happened to him, he practiced interviewing. He had the guts to come on and let me interview him on this show. And then he came on again on Devin's channel in the Nash Nation to be interviewed live with Devin and me in our interview royale. And if you haven't caught that show, I'll have to share with you, I'll put it in our Discord later, a quote we got. I'll even read it off. A quote we got from somebody who saw it today, and they said it changed their life. So if you haven't seen our How to Make a Resume show and How to Interview shows, you need to watch them. But anyway, Bilal came on. He crushed it on my show. He came back and he won the Interview Royale on Devin's channel. Thank you, Duke of Thought, for the sub. And after he won, after he killed it, I sent him into Twitch as a possible intern. So I emailed a couple of my friends at Twitch and I said, this guy's really good. He came on and interviewed live on my show and he wants to work at Twitch. And I sent him into the intern process. And so he went and went through a round of interviews. Unlike Amazon, Twitch does purely live interviews. So I think he went through 4 interviews and he got his internship. So he'll be starting at Twitch as an intern in May. And so that's what he's celebrating, I assume. And I super appreciate it. You didn't have to do that, but that's amazing from you. And Bilal, congratulations. I'm very, very happy for you. As you know, you're amazing, Furokey. And I think he's going to earn it. It's good to see Banhammer here. Glad to see you. And Banhammer, I know I owe you an email. I'll get back to you on it soon. It's on my unlimited to-do list. So, all right. So let's reset. We had a huge event. I was going to announce Bilal's success in a few minutes. And that was after the whiskey sour. So we're just clipping through things tonight. Look, a couple of my usual disclaimers. Thank you, Collins21, for the sub. Much appreciated. Number one, my opinions are my own. I'm not speaking for Twitch or Amazon. And by the way, for Bilal, what I did is I sent him in and recommended they talk to him. He got through the interview 100% on his own. I never put my thumb on the scale for him. So he earned that, and good for him. And we'll get to track his internship this summer, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll report back here. And he might even show up and chat with a staff icon over the summer. So that'll be cool. And then the other thing, you all know this, we're going to be talking about career development secrets and the way to have a career development plan. Blaine86, good evening. Ligerbox, good to see you here. Liger, I won't talk about your workplace challenges on stream tonight. It's too sensitive. But if anybody's curious, they can join our Discord. And Liger's working on some hard career problems right now. It is not stream safe. It has to do with difficult workplace issues that aren't stream safe for at least me as staff. So if you don't know how to ask a question, you use our extension. We'll get to those in a second. I want to jump in. What I want to jump into is, look, I promised, somebody asked me, could I do a show on career development plans? And when they ask career development plans, I think they were talking about like when your big workplace, if they want you to write up an official career development plan, if they want you, if they want you to create an official career development plan and say what you want to do. Hey, Perpetual White Belt, thank you for the sub. If they want you to develop a career development plan, what do you put in it? Why do you bother? Does any of that shit matter? And my answer to that, working at a big company, is yes. If your company is asking you for a plan, here's tip number one. Most people don't have a plan. They just go to work. They go to work. I actually have a woman who worked for me recently, and I told her, I said, hey, you're just working hard and hoping you'll get noticed. You don't have any plan more than work hard, keep your head down, and hope good things happen. And she actually said, yeah, that is exactly what I do. Well, that's a great way to be appreciated and to have people like you, but not necessarily to get anywhere. Because You have no idea what gaps you might have. You're not asking for feedback. You have no idea what is working well and what isn't. You have no idea where your time is wasted. Lucid Frost, thank you for the sub. Much appreciated. Big night tonight. Love it. Thank you all. So when you have the opportunity to put together a career plan, or when that's part of how your company works, absolutely do it. But now here's the second tip. Use that as a chance to start a real conversation with your manager. Okay? Use that as a chance. Thank you, 40% for the sub. Use that as a chance to talk to your leaders and actually figure out what you want to do. And more than that, use it as a chance to figure out what is important in your career. Megawatt, thank you for extending your sub. Much appreciate that. They extended it through February. You'll be here a long time. I love that. Use the career development plan to figure out what your plan is. Now, it may surprise you. Having said that, here's my third tip. My third tip is career development plans are only worth having half the time. And I'll explain that. What I mean is there's some science and some empirical evidence that having a career plan is only useful to the degree that you can plan your next move. Oftentimes, you need to be opportunistic. And so you need to just capitalize on the stuff that's in front of you. And I want to talk a little bit story time about that, because I love story time. And I think people remember stories. So I've told a lot of my career stories, but I want to share a career story about how I first got into management. And it had to do with an opportunity being presented to me. So I joined a company in Pittsburgh where I had gone to college. And long story short, there was a product manager. I was an engineer, and I was paired up with a product manager, and we were working on a project. And the product manager, this project was with a partner company. And the product manager was one of the nicest people I've ever known. Super sweetheart. And the company wanted someone to beat the hell out of the partner because they weren't delivering. And so eventually, they removed the product manager. Now, I've told you guys honestly, and we'll come to this later, that later in my career, I managed to get myself let go from a startup I was working at by being too much of a loudmouth. Well, if I was a loudmouth then, as a brand new employee fresh out of college, I had a saying actually. I love to mix metaphors, and I said, people say I'm a loose cannon, but that's only when I'm pointed at them. So it was a healthy mix of loudmouth and arrogance. But it turns out that's what my company wanted, not in a good way. They wanted someone to pester and harass this partner company. And the other manager was too nice. So they removed him and they said, hey, Ethan, do you want to lead this? And I went after it and I stepped into leadership. And that was my first step down the path to the dark side of management. Because as an engineer, I always thought, oh, management, oh my God, I don't even know what that is, but I'm sure it's bad and it's non-technical and I want nothing to do with that. Kind of ironic that that was my thought, and now here I am as an executive trying to help you. My point is, my career plan in my head was I'm going to be an engineer and I'm going to invent great things technically. And my whole career became I'm going to lead people and build teams and help people like all the wonderful folks here in this chat be successful in their careers. And so what I want to emphasize is I said career plans are worth having, but you can't miss opportunities you can't miss opportunities because you're wedded to your plan, because you won't let go of your plan in order to seize opportunity. I could have said no. I could have said, no, I'm a coder. Leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with like working with that other company. Get somebody else. And my whole career would have been different. And it might have been fine. It might have been better. But the career I've had that's brought me here in front of you came from making that choice and ignoring my plan. So, have a plan, have a vision, but also be flexible when opportunity knocks. And I would say it's easier, it's at least half the time, taking the opportunity to step up and do more, even if just temporarily, will pay off as much as grinding away on a plan. Okay, plans are the grinding career path in most games. Have a plan, work and check all the boxes to get promoted, understand what it takes to level up again, lather, rinse, repeat, grind your way to level 100 World of Warcraft style. Totally doable, not always the fastest path. There's a different path, right? Sell your account password to somebody in China that you've paid to grind for you, pick it up 2 weeks later, be level 100 that way. Okay, not a perfect analogy, but you get my point. There are other ways to the top. All right. Shane, man. So you guys can start putting in questions. I actually haven't looked over here to see if there's any questions in, but I will do that now. But if you don't know how, use our extension and enter questions. Nobody's put any in, and there's 100 viewers. So when we get to questions, if you want me to talk about questions, this is your chance. First person to put a question in and get some votes from others, I'll end up answering your question anywhere about the trade-offs between doing what Just Banter said and getting a 40% raise each time you jump jobs and sticking in a career and growing in place. And yeah, Just Banter says it would be hard to decide to do that later in your career. That's true. It is harder to switch. It's harder to switch roles. It's harder to switch to management. Oh, now people are starting to ask questions. So I love that. And the first question that was submitted is a good one. So we'll end up taking that here in a minute. So keep them coming. And you can jump in and vote on them. That said, one of our new traditions, besides the whiskey sour drink of the day, for anybody who missed it, we're celebrating Kristen's role in management. She rewarded me for my coaching with a bottle of whiskey. That's a cheap price. Other people have paid more. But Kristen comes on stream and puts her career in front of us so we can all benefit from it. So she gets off with a bottle of whiskey. Thank you, Kristen. And so we have a Kristen whiskey sour as tonight's drink of the stream. That said, another one of our new traditions is having a rant of the stream. So to give you guys a minute to put more questions in, which I see you're doing, thank you, we'll take a minute and we'll get into the rant. And for that, I have to lean forward and I have to get the hands back up because it's rant time. One of the things I read this week is true and it pisses me off. So I titled this stream in various forums like Career Development Secrets and Secret Career Tips. Why? Because it turns out everybody's lazy and they want a shortcut to the top. They don't want to do the hard work. So some people are saying jump between different jobs as a way up. And I agree with that. It works some. And we're going to talk about the limit. The limit, we'll talk about it right damn now. The limit is you jump up and you jump up and you get promoted to the point where you don't know what the hell you're doing and you haven't put in the work, and then you crater. And what happens is then you coast on the fact you got a big title, and you go through a couple jobs with a big title where the next place hires you because they see the last place hired you. But if you can't catch your abilities up to how much you've career jumped, you keep cratering. And eventually that comes back to haunt you because you have to step back and actually build the ability. So I completely agree. I completely agree with growing in your career and taking advantage of places either inside a company or outside a company to move up, have a plan, and be opportunistic. Do both. And we'll talk more about both, but you can't be lazy. You're still going to have to work. God, why am I ranting about this? Because I watch on the news, okay? I got cursed. I used to ignore news. It was a good tip. It was a 4-hour work week tip to avoid what did Timothy Ferriss called it, a low information diet. And I wanted that. I thought that was great. Then I got a damn iPhone and it has Apple News on it, and I end up looking at it when I have 2 seconds and I'm bored. And what I see, what is in my news all the damn time? Prince Harry and Princess Markle. Okay, sure, I wish I had been born royalty. That would be great. I wasn't. You weren't. All right? And so, unfortunately for the rest of us, you probably have to work or go buy lottery tickets and get lucky. A good friend of mine, he might be watching here tonight, I don't know, but a good friend of mine, owner of a cat emote, absolutely was lamenting how he hasn't had perfect luck and he's had to grind his way to some things he cares about in life. Yeah, sorry. There are a few people for whom lightning strikes can't predict that. And so you have to earn it the hard way and get better. And it takes time, and there's always some lucky son of a bitch who jumps past you. And my ex-wife used to call it being born into the lucky sperm club. Well, that's great for like the 1/100th of 1/100th of a percent that happens for. But for everyone else, you got to earn it. And so the rant is, understand that you can optimize the path and you should make sure you get rewarded for every step along the way that you can. But you're still going to actually have to have skill, and it's going to take real work. So that's the end of my rant. And now I need more whiskey. All right, you guys have killed it. You've put a bunch of questions in. We still have 100 people watching, but people haven't voted on them much. There's one question that's voted up. Go into our extension and vote them up, and I'll start answering in a second. I want to do a little bit more exercise for the audience, though. One of the great tips I got that people like is letting the audience vote on stuff. So I'll talk about a very early time in my career. Early in my career, before I really had a career, when I was still in school, I really wanted a PhD, and I wanted to get a doctorate in robotics. And so I fought and clawed my way into the robotics PhD program at Carnegie Mellon, which is a very good school, and that was probably at the time, may still be, the top robotics program on earth. You can argue a couple others if you want, but anyway, top 3 for sure. So I got there, and I had my whole life this vision, I'm going to get a PhD. And I saw people around me without working on their PhD, and they had been there 8 years. And I thought, oh my God, I don't think I can do 8 years. So a common question we get in chat and in Discord is, should I do an MBA? And I know a lot of viewers here are in college, and I know a lot of you are considering, should you get more education to advance your career? So let's hear it here in chat. What do you think about grad school? should I have stayed the 6, 7, 8 years to get the PhD? Because that's what the PhDs were usually taking in the department in that time. Duke of Thought, their advisors must have been terrible. No, their advisors were very smart. Their advisors knew that they were one of the few robotics programs on Earth, and that if you wanted a robotics PhD, that was the only place you could get it. So, nicely speaking, it was a slave labor system. They understood they had people hostage. Liger says, so I'll start reading these. Liger said, in my field, you need a PhD to direct your own research, so I don't have a choice. That is true. For those of you who don't know, Liger's in medicine. He wants to cure infectious diseases, and he wants to have a research lab. So he's going to need his own PhD to do that. Duke of Thought is considering going into graduate school, probably, I would assume, in chemical engineering, and he's choosing between schools. So we'll find out if, but yeah, I don't know. 8 years was too much for me. I went into industry. I like Nami says grad school is hell. It's unclear whether he's in grad school or not, though. So you can let that be known. Just Banter says, I'm not sure about robotics, but in some fields, you can get paid a lot more by having a PhD. Probably in robotics you can. In computer science, you don't need it. Yeah, so the thing is, of course, Duke of Thought, is they get you into a sunk cost situation. Oh, Banhammer, you're going to depress people by telling them it's harder after that. All right, we're going to change the camera angle a little here. Hold on. There we go. All right. I'm sick of the mic being so much in, so we'll show more background. That's Madeira on the back shelf. It's going to be the item of the day someday, but we've never gotten around to it. Maybe next week. Maybe that'll be the drink of the week next week. All right, so look. And then I move the mic back up in screen. That's kind of stupid. Let's go to questions. I can tell more stories later. We'll do more exercises later. And yes, graduate school, you live on not too much money while you're there. Mods, if you want to pin the first question, I'll go ahead and read it. We'll do the question of the day later, but, oh, they were ahead of me. Awesome. Well done, moderation team. I love you. How do you encourage your team members to think about their career plans? Well, I talk about it, obviously. I talk about it here on stream, but I also ask them what they want to do and what they're passionate about. What are they trying to accomplish? I try to help them figure out where they're headed, because your career plan is part like what steps you're going to do and what projects you need to be on or things like that. But it's really, what are you good at? Careers are about finding something you're gifted at doing and then doing more and more of that. Look, most of the people here watching this show are among the lucky, highly educated, first world or able to get into the first world few that can pick what you're going to do with your lives. Why do I coach you? Like, why am I not coaching people, downtrodden folks who don't have that opportunity? Well, number one, they're not on Twitch. But number two, I don't have those skills. I came from the world of high education and high performance work. So what I have to offer is for all of you, and then together we go fix the rest of the world. So that's the plan. If you've ever wondered about the master plan of this channel, it's I help all of you become amazing and you fix the world, because I can't fix it alone and it needs some help. So master plan in a clip. There you go. That said, what I do is I encourage people to figure out what they're really gifted at and double down on a job where that's most of the work. And so I encourage team members to take time to figure out, take an inventory of themselves and figure out what they want to do. Because if they're not driven to do it, if they don't care enough, they're not going to fight through it for the 5, 10, 20-year grind it takes to become great. Look, I hope one of you in this channel ends up being somebody I saw in chat mentioned Bezos earlier. I hope one of you becomes the next amazing startup founder in any industry, tech or otherwise. But probably you won't. Probably I didn't. Well, obviously I didn't. But you can still have a lot of impact. And for the rest of us who aren't Larry and Sergey at Google, who aren't Zuckerberg, you get good by picking your key skill and honing it until it's super valuable. So what's my key skill? My key skill is leading people and getting stuff shipped. So my show next week is going to be on how to ship stuff. How do you get stuff done? How do you drive execution? Because that's the other thing I do really well. But the one thing I do here is I coach people well. And that's why Devin and I stream together. It's why we'll do a show on Friday about how to build your network. But those are my two skills, and they've carried me my whole career. And they've put me where I am. I figured out my two skills and I leaned into them. And it is why Duke of Thought I sold out and went to the dark side, because it turns out I was better at leading people than I was at my engineering background. Although I'm good at that, I'm better at the other. What time is the show on Friday? It'll be 3 o'clock Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock Pacific. And we're going to talk about how to build a network. Just banter. You have a good question there. I encourage you to put it into our question widget, and I would love to answer it into our extension. But I want to finish this one. That's how I encourage team members to think about their career plans, is think about what you want to do the rest of your life. Think about work that energizes you. Most people, there's this guy's name. I always have to have someone in chat look it up because I can't spell it. His name is like Nihai Csikszentmihalyi, and he's the researcher who did all the work on flow state. Flow state is where you're so into your work, so into what you're doing that time is passing, you're producing great results using your skills, and you're not feeling tired, distracted, or like it's a burden. And everyone has felt that. Most of you who are gamers, which is almost everyone here, has felt it playing a game where you're in the game, the world drops away, and you're not thinking about anything else because it's effortless. So you want to find work that is for you like that. So like when Devin and I stream together, at the end of 3 or 4 hours, we're going strong and we're excited and we're happy because we're having fun and it's not work for us anymore. And so that's how I tell people to think about their careers. So we have some more questions in. I'm going to go to the next one, but they generally have very few votes. We have 100 people here. If you want to influence what I answer, basically anybody who votes gets to pick what I talk about next, which is a lot of power I'm giving you. So think of that. I'm like a remote control answer bot, and this is your chance. There we go. Symbolic circle. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And I can't pronounce it either. I think it's Hungarian, and it ends up being pronounced something like Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, which, God bless you, anybody who can spell that. Dance. Yeah, that's as close as I get to dancing. All right. So the next question here we'll take is, what do you think about bold moves like pitching a product idea to a team of executives and jumping in at the middle instead of starting at the bottom? I love bold moves, okay? And most entrepreneurs respect boldness because they were bold themselves. So be as bold as you can. Some of you will have heard this story, but I will tell it now. So couple years ago, 5 years ago, my executive assistant, which in old school worlds would have been called a secretary, my EA, had an idea along with a product manager on my team to do a travel product for Amazon. So we wanted to build a travel app. We wanted to have Amazon build a travel app, and they were really passionate about it. So my assistant and this product manager worked with me and a couple other people to put together a pitch for Amazon to build a travel app and a travel business behind it. And broadly speaking, the idea was Pinterest for travel, a place where you could like collect all the experiences you wanted and pin them together and get people's advice and commentary and say, look, I'm planning the trip of a lifetime to Australia. Where should I go and where should I eat and what trails should I hike and what guides should I have? And you could gather all that, and then we would sell you those experiences if we could. But the point was, that was the idea. Well, my assistant wrote it up. So now remember, my assistant, a wonderful woman named Jordan, is her day job is writing my expense reports, booking my travel, and keeping my calendar. But we tried to socialize this idea. So answering the question, we couldn't get an executive above me to bite on funding it. So we decided to just take it straight to Bezos. And Devin's here with his cat. I love it. Most expensive cat ever. I should get him a golden version now that he has it. So she sent Bezos an email. I helped her co-write it, but she sent Bezos an email that said, hey, we have this idea for a travel app. We can't get anyone to bite on it. Could you recommend to us who we should talk to? And then I had her put in a hook, and this goes to bold. I had her put in a hook, and I said, or if you'd like to hear more about it, we'd be happy to come tell you. So if you want to know more yourself, we'd also be happy to tell you if you don't want to hand us off. 45 minutes later, we had an email back from Jeff's office that said, yeah, I'd love to hear more. Let's schedule time. 50 minutes later, so 45 plus 5, I had upset email from various people in my email chain saying, why are you wasting Jeff's time? Why did you reach out to him? Why didn't you come to us? So that was bold. Well, the moral of this story, I'll shortcut it now. We went and pitched Jeff. Jeff handed off to some of his team. In the end, the idea did not get built. So we were unsuccessful. But the fact is, my assistant got to pitch her idea to Jeff and his team directly, simply by asking. Now, did I guide her a little on what to write? Absolutely, but I didn't send it for her. It came from her email. And in our company, you can look at somebody's email and know what role they have. So his team knew it was coming from an executive assistant, and he took the time. So if you can get to Bezos with an email like that from an assistant, yeah. And in fact, Devin and I in the future are going to do a show on how to give good pitches. So I don't know who put this in here. And I know Devin's listening, which is good. I'll just say we're going to do a show on how to give a good pitch where we give feedback on how to pitch. And so this is going to be an opportunity. We don't have that scheduled yet, but and then everybody can email Bezos after that. I'm sorry, MDF Great. I don't know why question isn't responding to you. I thought I set the chat bot to do that. I think it's because it's questions and I have to get the overlay changed. So that's my fault. But I answered the question. Absolutely. If you can jump in at the middle, do it. The key, though, is remember, you have to have the ability to follow up. I'll get the overlay changed. I'll talk to the guy who made it and get an S added to type question to be type questions. So that's my fault. So you can do that. And I think you should jump in as high as you can, but remember, you have to follow through. If you jump into something and you talk your way, if you can talk a better game than you can carry, you will eventually get busted on it. You've got to back it up. There's a saying for this. There's a lot of sayings for this. They call it the Peter principle, where you've been promoted above your ability. They also call it having all hat and no cattle, right? It's a Texas saying for people who pretend to be cowboys, but they're all hat and no cattle because they actually live in suburbia and work at the local Kmart. Okay? So, all right. So moving on, thank you for the question. What I recommend in terms of career development plans is that you have a plan to build the skills so that when you talk yourself into an opportunity, you can carry it off. And Collins 21, I'll just say a little Google work will get you what you're after. And then it's up to you what happens from there. So we have one more question with a lot of votes I'll take. And then if we don't get more votes on questions, I'll go off on some other topic. Because there's a lot of questions in here, but no one's really picked between them. So the next question is, why do tech companies incentivize people to leave after 2 to 4 years? One of my rants may be why no one on Twitch interacts, why everyone lurks. That's Matchsticks. So if we don't have something else to do, I might rant about that. So answering the question, though, why do tech companies incentivize people to leave after 2 to 4 years? This is really a reference, I believe, to stock option plans. Almost every company on earth, tech company, has some sort of stock plan. And that stock plan has a 4-year vesting period. And so at the end of it, no, see, 10 letters, you weren't personally attacked because now you're interacting. Yeah, so at the end of 4 years, depending on company performance, your comp may drop. Now, companies that are managing their comp well don't have this problem, but sometimes it happens. And so the question is, why do companies do that? Well, they have to pick some amount of period for a stock grant. They're not going to grant you stock for 10 years because most people aren't with companies 10 years, and they don't know if they want you for 10 years. So what they want, they're trying to pick between enough time that you have long-term incentives and you're thinking about the long term, and a short enough time that they have a chance to cut you off if you stink. Second, they're trying to make sure that if you're great, they can reward you more, but if you stink, they can encourage you to leave because they don't want you hanging around if you're no good. So that's basically what's going on, but the problem is big corporate systems don't do this very well because they have the right idea, but then they have thousands of people in thousands of situations they're trying to manage, and you end up with people whose comp is going to go down. Now, sometimes it can be okay. The reason your comp goes down is because you're overpaid. In other words, stock has gone up, and actually you're being paid more than your current value. And so, unfortunately, they can get someone else cheaper than you. That is one reason they incentivize, is if you haven't grown, to a higher level, they can't incentivize. Pashi, I will get to your question in just a second because it's relevant for the whole channel, and we ought to have a discussion about it. So that can be my next rant. So, Matchstick Man, I have my next rant loaded, and we'll do it right after this question. It's going to be on Pashi's question, as it turns out. So, the point is, that's how that incentive comes up. The good news is you got stock for 2 to 4 years, and if you get promoted, they'll give you more. So think of it not as you're going to get screwed, but as you have 2 to 4 years to move up. And if you're really goal-oriented, it's 2 to 4 years to move up. Just banter, you're right, the systems are imperfect. All right, so what's the rant? First, I have to explain for anybody who doesn't know. Pashi asked, why is there no option for lower quality? 1080p lags a bit for me. Yeah, the reason there's no option for lower quality is this channel is not partnered. And why is it not partnered? It's not partnered for a couple very good reasons and one possibly bad reason I want to discuss with you as the fans. Good reason. There's a great policy at Twitch. It wasn't always there, but it has been there for a long time now, where Twitch employees earn partnership like anyone else. So when I started this stream, I was a Twitch employee. I am now back on the Amazon side, and I work within Amazon, not within the subsidiary, but whatever. The point is, I'm not a Twitch employee anymore. I'm part of Twitch Prime. But partners get transcoding guaranteed, which would let me transcode the stream or the stream to be transcoded so that Pashi could get what he wants. Now, so that he could get, all of you could get different quality streams. So here's the question. There are 3 requirements for partnership. One of them is that you average at least 75 concurrent viewers. Our last 3 shows have had over 100. We have over 100 right now. And so we meet that criteria. Yay! There are 2 other criteria. You have to stream 12 days a month, and you have to stream 25 hours in a month. Because I work full-time, and because I stream on Devin's channel a lot of my extra hours are with Devin, I don't hit either 12 days or 25 hours. So I can either argue about it, or we as a channel could make a partnership push. And I've thought about that. If you look at my schedule in January, I have a lot more shows on it. And we could decide as a channel that y'all are going to come back and keep the average above 75 while I talk for 25 hours on 12 days so that we can check the box and meet the rules. And some of you might wonder, well, you're vice president of Twitch Prime. Can't you get an exception? Sure, probably I could. I could call Emmett and say, man, this sucks. We have 100 viewers. They can't watch me in lower resolution. Help me out. But that sends the wrong message, I think, to everyone else who's struggling for partnership, which is, hey, these are the rules. And so I think if we want to do it, we do it like every other channel. We do it together. So this is your chance in Twitch. You know, we could do all kinds of streams. I have a bunch there. I could stream a long time. I could introduce you to my dog. There's a lot of things we could do. And I like that Fred the Free says, follow the rules. Is this for affiliate or partnership? This channel is already an affiliate. I'm discussing what it would take for it to become a partner by the published rules. Ask the cat for guidance. Did I call Devin something? What did I call Devin? All right. So generally, one of the things, by the way, I do push Twitch on is it's very hard for people with full-time jobs to qualify for partnership. But I've talked to some partners. They have good reasons for feeling it's important to keep the bar for partnership high. So this is not an easy question, and I don't address Twitch policy here. I'm just saying it's a topic I've discussed with them. I'm not going to get into Twitch policy. What I'm telling you here is I think we as a channel in January could make a push for this and crush it. So let's go back to the next question. And I love it. Fight. Shaner, man, I'm glad you appreciate it. I try very hard. I've tried very hard not to use Twitch connections for most things. I will be clear. In setting up the channel, I asked for the channel to be made an affiliate day one so that I could use a certain extension because I ran the extensions group at that time, and I wanted to be able to use an extension from minute one. But there are 400,000 affiliates, and there's very few benefits to it. So let's see. Let's pin the next question. And the next question is, if I declined an opportunity because I wanted to stay with what I'm doing, can I still call the same person to ask for the same or different opportunity? Probably. It depends on how you declined. But if you declined professionally and politely, the fact that they were interested in you once probably means that they will be interested in you still. So the fact that you had someone who is interested in whatever it is you do or in having you do something means they saw value in you. So as long as you declined for clear reasons, politely and professionally, and you didn't just ghost, I think you can absolutely go back and ask for either the same or a different opportunity. Liger, I see you're taking off. I would say break a leg, but you're already in a hospital, so don't do that. Go make it happen. Cure some people, save the world, and stay out of trouble. So, in fact, I'll share a story. I can't say who it is, but I have a friend who declined a company for a job, went and took a different job. That different job didn't work out, and he's now going back to the company that offered him the job in the first place, and he gets his offer this week, and he actually asked for an offer that was higher. So he's actually going to go back to the same company he declined 6 months later, and get a slightly higher offer for probably a slightly better job. So you can, and he's going back to the same manager. It's not like he's just going back to the same company. He's going back to the guy he said no to. So that's fantastic. So you can obviously do this. I have a proof in place. MDF, great one. Means I can still call Elon Musk. Yes, exactly. When I walked out of Elon's office 5 years ago, and for those of you who don't know the story, I interviewed to go to SpaceX. It wasn't a fit. I was sitting with Elon Musk when we discussed my style of leading software development. It wasn't what he wanted. And I said, well, I'm not your guy. I should stop wasting your time. The exact reason I said that was to keep the relationship so that he will think of me as an honest, forthright person who respected his time. I'm sure I could go back to Musk. So I think that's exactly right. And that's why I'm sure you can do this. So, yeah, it says, I assume Mullet Boy put in this question. I responded by saying something like, I'd like to see my project through. Yes, you can 100% go back. If you said to someone, look, I needed to see my project through, and I told you that, and now I've done that, and by the way, here are the results. But people, look, if a boss ever tells you, well, like, screw your current boss, quit right now and get the hell out of there, this is a bad boss. A good boss is thinking about, like, I never pressure people, oh, you have to start Monday. Like, just give your current job no notice. That's a terrible suggestion because I'm teaching you to ditch me the same way. I don't want someone on my team who would stiff their current project and leave them in a lurch, or stiff their current manager and quit with no notice, because it tells me what kind of person they are and what I can expect from them as soon as they're sick of me or my project or what we're doing. So, Mullet Boy, if that's what you said, you're golden. So now you're the golden Mullet Boy. Ricer Man, welcome. All right. So we have other good questions in here. It's great. The next question is probably due to one of my rants. Is getting promoted the only signal to a company that you're a high performer? No, absolutely not. You're a high performer. I don't know if this means what signals to a company that you're a high performer or what the company does for you. All of the following things indicate that you're a high performer. Consider this a partial list. 1, getting a big raise. 2, getting more responsibility. 3, getting your choice of projects. 4, education, chances to go to conferences. 5, being asked what project you'd like to work on or what's important to you. 6, more time for management. There's a huge list. Being promoted happens only when your ability rises to the level of whatever the next role is, and the company has a need for that. But when you're a high performer, you sometimes want to poke to be promoted for a few good reasons. First, people don't, I don't wake up every morning, as much as I'm here in this channel and my people watch and I'm talking to my own employees when I speak to you. I don't wake up every morning and think, is Fred ready for promotion? And I know we have a Fred in chat. There he is, Fred the Free. I don't think, is Fred ready for promotion every morning? And so sometimes it pays for Fred to remind me and say, hey, where am I on my climb? Where am I? What else do I need to do? Am I ready now? Why not? And particularly this is true by gender of women. Women typically are less aggressive at asking for raises, opportunities, and promotion. There is science behind that. And so that's not just an unsubstantiated claim. Given that, it pays to ask, am I ready? What would it take? How about now? Second reason that promotion matters, even though you can be a high performer and be acknowledged as one in many ways. Bosses change. Your boss may leave tomorrow. You don't know. They may get sick. They may get hurt. They may have a family situation. They may just decide they're done. All that credibility you've built up, all the things that are in their head, they haven't been codified and acknowledged on paper until you've been moved to a new role and given a new title that you can take with you somewhere else and that can't really be taken away. So even though you're getting paid massively, you're killing it, you're getting all this opportunity, you want to look for the structural move because that goes on a resume and it goes inside the company. So promotion matters, role matters. It's something tangible. Hephaestus calls out the classic wording of this, and he says, what would have to be true for me to be promoted? That is the best wording because everyone can answer that. They may tell you, well, I need you to sprout wings and fly around the building and then wash my car. But at least they can answer. In other words, if you say, well, why can't I be promoted? They may hem and haw. If you say, where am I relative to promotion? They may say all kinds of things. But everyone can answer what would have to be true. And it gets them thinking, oh, what would it take? So do that. Bottom line is, though, promoted is not the only signal that you're a high performer. You can be a high performer in many ways, but you still want to seek promotion. And I said this is about career plans and tips. Let me get to my most central tip. The most central career plan tip is have one. That puts you ahead of practically everyone else. Have a plan, because most people don't. The second tip, which I covered earlier, is be willing to be flexible in your plan. People often think that they can plan their way through their whole career. And I don't think he's here tonight. I haven't seen him in chat, but I was talking to someone who's often in our Discord, Roy T.Y. Kim, and Roy was trying to plan exactly how his life would go. First, I'll do this, then I'll do this, then I'll do this. And he had this like 6-year plan, absolutely down to every detail. And what I told him is, yeah, maybe, but probably not. It probably won't work out that way. Have a plan. Know where you want to go. Do not be inflexible about how you get there, or you will miss opportunities. So that's the whole career plan in a box. In like another clippable moment, have a plan on where you're trying to go and how you're going to get there, and then be flexible about seizing opportunities along the way. And if you do the two of those, you'll grow incredibly quickly. I don't know. I'm going to go to the next question in a second. We haven't talked about this. If you want me to, you can ask it as a question in our extension. I appreciate the people who voted. We can talk about, I've moved for jobs. Should you move? Should you pick up your family and go? I've talked about bouncing back from getting fired and how you do that, or getting laid off. I've talked about startups. So if you want to know about any of those things, put them in and vote them up. How to decide. The next question is how to decide between industry and further education. I think we covered this one some earlier. You may not have been here. We talked about MBAs and PhDs. I would say you decide between industry and further education. First, are you passionate about the education? Because if you don't care and you're just trying to check a box, it's going to be real hard and expensive. Second, is the education strictly required? Remember, Bill Gates never graduated. And there's a whole list of famous founders who either never graduated or dropped out of school. Wasn't Steve Jobs one of them? I think Jobs didn't finish either. I may have that wrong. But someone in chat will say right away. So, and then there are tons of people who get by without degrees, and especially without advanced degrees, which are expensive and time consuming. That said, I have a master's degree and I'm happy I got it. There's a bunch of Purdue people here, and we were talking about the history of the phrase boiler up, which came up at Purdue after I had left, which is why it's not as familiar to me as it is to them. It's like a recognition thing. The point is, you go back to school if you have a specific goal in mind and you're passionate to get the education enough to get through, and that education is going to get you to the next step. Otherwise, go deliver results. The point is, you can do this either way. Education is probably the more predictable way. Busting your ass, being innovative, and delivering outsized value is the way entrepreneurs always get it done. And so there is no how to decide that is universal. It depends on who you are. If you're a high risk taker, and you like risk and you're impatient, don't go to school, go create miracles. If you like security and surety and credentials, go to school. It's definitely more predictable and less risky. That said, how many of you, let's see it in chat. We haven't engaged chat enough. How many of you either are well educated with no job or a job you don't like? And how many of you either are or know people who have degrees and can't find a job? I'm trying to help several people right now through our Discord or through other means. They have degrees. They graduated last spring. I won't out anybody on the stream because some of them are here in chat right now. They have degrees, but they can't find the job they want. So they are educated. All right. Duke of Thought outed himself. He has a degree and no job. So more education, education won't always get you there. And he has a good degree. And as far as I know, he's done well. Ethernight, same thing. Aplos123. I know someone with an English degree that can't find a job. Definitely no unemployed people with degrees. And then Shaner Man, I have a degree. I got an offer before I graduated. Yes, very common. Playerts, good to see you here, by the way. Glad you're in. I have a degree, but most of the work I have done does not deal with the degree. Yes, so Playerts, he's a producer for channels. So he helps people grow their Twitch and I think also YouTube channels. Is this your chance to advertise your services, Players? No, you're great. So look, the point is there's tons of people who have degrees and no jobs. There's also education helps. And then there's Hephaestus here, one of our startup founders. No degree, I was terrible at college. But he's doing fine. Like I see him around here in Seattle. He's got, 13 employees, Hephaestus? More? You just hired some more people? So he's got a small company on his own he built with no degree. So it depends on what you value. Do you value safety and education, or are you a risk taker? And by the way, I'm not saying you need to be a risk taker, that's somehow better. I leaned more towards education and the safe way, and it got me where I am. So you can do it. All right, here's the Fox Den coming in. Excellent. Welcome in, Shadow Fox in the Fox Den. It's wonderful to see you here. Come on over. We're talking about careers, And we just actually talked a lot about career plans. We were just answering the question how to decide between more of a job and further education. But I super appreciate the raid and welcome in everybody in the Fox Den. I'm Ethan Evans. Please drop a follow. We've had a good night here so far, and we're deep into talking about the way to have a great career. And specifically, we're going to do a show in the future about, we have a show coming up in January. I won't go into details, but we're going to do a show on how we led someone through a career end to end, from job application to getting started in the role. We're going to have a guest in the future and do an end-to-end explanation of every step we took along the way. So I can't announce that yet, except to say coming in January. For other shows that are coming, Devin and I will be streaming together on Friday, and we'll be doing how to build a network. But tonight, our topic has been how to have a career plan and also when not to have a career plan. So how much to plan your career. For anybody who doesn't know, we have a new stream tradition. I hope you all join us safely. It's drink of the day or drink of the stream. And today, it's what I call a Kristen Whiskey Sour. So some of you know we have Kristen on the stream sometimes. She got a job as a manager. She moved up into management in her company. Her brother runs this distillery or works at this distillery, so she gave me some Westland whiskey, and so I named the drink the Kristen Whiskey Sour. All right, so with that, we're answering questions. For anybody who doesn't know, there just got popped up how to ask me a question. There's a bunch of questions in our question extension, and I'm going to go to the next one. And then after I do that one, we'll go to the question of the day, which is a great question today. Okay, so question of the day. How can generalists best move up the ranks, or is it always better to specialize your skills? Generalists struggle. You get paid for one thing you do really well, not for a bunch of things you do pretty well. Doing a bunch of things pretty well gets you a mid-level job where everyone buys you a 25-year service watch and tells you how indispensable you are. And you end up jaded and frustrated of why you got stuck in a mid-level role and you're 40 or 50 or 60 and going to have to work until you're 100. Now, I'm sure there's counterexamples. And I'm not saying it's not good. A generalist Duke of Thought is someone who does a bunch of different things pretty well, but doesn't do any one thing incredibly well. So it's much better to have one skill that you're really good at. And yes, the video, it's jack of all trades is the same as a generalist, same idea. And what do they call a jack of all trades? What's the full name? Jack of all trades, master of none. So any special skill, any passion will probably get you paid more than being really good at a bunch of general skills. Just look at life. I saw an article today, actually, someone in the business press wrote about how Twitch had created careers for people that a few years ago no one thought it would exist. So the idea that you can be an influencer as a full-time job is a new idea. It didn't exist a couple years ago, but now we have Shadow here. She's an influencer as a full-time job. We had Devin here. I don't know if he's still on, but we had Devin here. He's an influencer as part of his job. So look, this is a career that didn't exist, but you have to be good at it. Twitch has 3 million people who try to stream every month. There's 500,000 affiliates. There's 20,000 partners, and only a subset of the partners make a living from it. You've got to be good. I advise everyone in my office, mitigate your weaknesses to the point they're not holding you back, and then double down on your strengths. Emphasize your strengths. do what you're best at and get paid for that. And if you think about this, artists should make art. Dating myself a little bit, Michael Jordan tried to go play baseball. He was a fine baseball player. He was a AAA baseball player. That's way better than almost anybody here could be. But he was the world's best at his time basketball player. So he made the right decision and he went back to the thing he was world's best at. Yeah, so you should always specialize. The key is, though, specialize at something you like. I've read stats that say 70% of lawyers would not recommend being a lawyer to anyone else. They wouldn't recommend law. And so I would say, don't go into something you're not going to want to do. That would be horrible, right? Don't go into something you don't like. And so that's certainly my advice. And very important, if you're going to specialize, do it in something you like. It's also true in American surveys anyway, 70% of people hate their jobs. So maybe those are those lawyers, but it's pretty much a lot of people. Do something you like. As Playard says, burnout is a killer. Kaz9 says tech companies are hiring mainly generalists these days. I don't buy that. Amazon's a tech company. I don't buy that. Maybe at entry level. How do you know when to start specializing? The fact that you have technical skills is already specialized. The fact you got a technical education, if that's what you got, is you're already specialized. You can specialize more, but basically you start specializing as soon as you find something that you like and you're good at. So I went into management and I discovered I loved it, and I started putting all of my energy. I was trained as an engineer, and we covered this story earlier in the stream. I found, I like engineering, but I like figuring out people and people problems even more. And so do that. I focused on doing what I was excited about because it made work fun and easy, and I never got tired. Why do I stream to you guys here? Why do I do this stream? It's because helping people be successful is amazingly fun. And I'll actually read this. I'm going to post it later. But let me share this quote I got today from someone on LinkedIn that they sent. It's a quote for both me and Devin, actually. So wow, this is super long. He wrote me a longer version. I won't quote who it is, but I got this note today on LinkedIn from a guy named Matt, and it said, title, Ethan and Devin resume review videos. I am absolutely blown away by the amount of value you offer with these videos. I just discovered the videos. I've sent them to everyone I know. I have taken time to create my resumes with your and Devin's guidelines, and my phone has been ringing off the hook, and I can get myself out of a dead-end job. I cannot possibly thank you enough. I do this because I'm good at it and because I'm able to help people, and therefore it's not work. I get to hang out with you guys here at night. I get to read the chat. I get to answer questions. I get to help people. We talked earlier tonight about how Bilal got his Furrow Key here in chat, got his internship, and he'll be at Twitch as an intern this summer. We have a story coming up in the future of another job someone got through the channel. We shared Bilal's story. I shared that guy's story. That's why I do it. But the point is, it's fun for me. I get to talk about this. I get to interact with this guy. I hadn't met him. He contacted me out of the blind today, asked to connect to me on LinkedIn. He wanted to get to know me, to thank me. Well, how cool is that? But the point is, I get to meet new, interesting people. And it's because I'm doing what I love. You can make a career out of doing what you love. Yes, if what you love is laying around in bed doing nothing, that's a tougher career and it doesn't pay as well. You can make a food stamp level career out of that. But this is your opportunity. Yeah, I see Will Scarlett. Thank you for the testimony. I've helped him out as well. Aplos123, I'm glad the resume video helped you out a lot. And there's a lot of people obviously have benefited from it. I'm glad to hear from you. Thank you. Look, Devin and I, this Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, we're going to do the equivalent show on how to build your LinkedIn profile, how to use any sort of content creation to advance your career, and how to build a network off the back of putting yourself out there in public. So we'll be doing that. I'll host it here. We'll be doing it in Devin's studio at Nerd Fusion, and I'll be talking there. But I encourage you to catch that because we're going to make another killer video like that. And Devin feels like he can bring his A game because he's a marketer and can really talk about building a network. So this time the pressure is on me to keep up with Devin. So that's Friday. Let's go back. I said I'm going to do question of the day. And so if you want to vote on things, you can come into our question extension and vote on anything that's there. But as many of you know, we have a tradition of engaging chat and asking the relationship question of the day, which is taken from Arthur Aaron's 36 questions of how to build a relationship with anyone in 45 minutes. And we're all the way up to question 17. This has been our longest standing tradition on the show. And the question this week is, what is your most treasured memory? Now, for those of you who don't know, we always answer in chat. So I want to hear in chat, what is your most treasured memory? And I haven't pre-thought about this. I have a bunch of treasured memories, and I think I'll have to answer in a few categories, which I will. Lassiter, and welcome back, by the way. I'm glad you're here. Christmas 2016. Firewall, birth of my children. Pashi, oh Jesus, that's an excellent best memory. I didn't know you were that old. Matchstick Man TV, that's sweet. Your wedding day. Strider Stone, traveling with my friends for gaming tournaments, 100%. Always a good answer. Joining a professional gaming organization, which one? Hotso Live. Festus, my most treasured memory is when I first arrived in the USA, looking out for my uncle's car on the way to their apartment, looking out of, where did you come from? If you don't mind sharing, I'm curious. I didn't know that you were not from here. Or maybe I did, but I'd forgotten. Shanerman, making my capstone project work for my undergrad. Telling my mom I got into UW. Congratulations, Davidio. Or Davidvo. MDF, great one, becoming a father. Congratulations, that's awesome. Hots Live Cloud9, great organization. Players, thank you, Duke. I don't. Okay, let's see what else we got. Going camping at Yellowstone with my family. Oh wow, outdoor experiences. I've had so many incredible ones. So my favorite outdoor memory. Wow, there's two of them. One of them is a hike on Mount Rainier. I won't go into that, but anytime I need like inner peace, I can go there. The other one is last year, I took my wife to Switzerland for the first time, and we hiked 19 miles around the Lauterbrunnen Valley, which for those of you who know it is one of the most beautiful places on earth, certainly in Switzerland. So that's probably my most treasured outdoor memory, was that hike with my wife where we went all the hell over. Until the end, my knees were killing me. And then in line with what I've been saying in this channel where you have to work, at the end of that 19-mile hike on European time, I got back into my hotel room. My wife got me dinner from the hotel kitchen, and I got online to do a meeting with Twitch because sometimes work has to happen, and if you want to be successful, you can have a 19-mile hike in the beauty of Switzerland and then through the miracle of technology be on a video conference with San Francisco like you were never gone. So there are ways to make this happen. So favorite memory is actually then coupled with eating pizza and doing that meeting. All right, let's see. We have some other good answers here. I appreciate everybody, by the way. Our tradition is everybody in chat jumps in and answers the question of the day. It's how I get to know you. It's how I get to build relationship. Because one day we all know channels grow and this channel will be big and chat will be scrolling by fast, and only those of you that I get to know will be remembered. Everybody else, it'll be thank you for the 50 subs. Nice to meet you. And you don't want to be that. You want to be one of the inner founding circle, and this is your chance. Apollos123, meeting my girlfriend at a gaming tournament we were both competing in. Nice. Score. Dodgix3, playing board games before finals to relieve stress is always fond memories. Pashi, I don't think I can be ranking my memories. So many good ones. So I have that same problem here, Pashi. I have so many good memories. It's hard to pick like a best one. Matchstick Man TV, later nerd. Who are you signing off? Meeting the Dalai Lama. Wow, impressive. Garcia, 1,000 volunteer hours. Duke of Thought, nice call to action. Yes, thank you. MDF great. Sadly, I won a big poker tournament rivals birth of my son. Well, that's honest. Well, we'll see if that ever happens. But look, right now, it's a small, intimate channel, and I like to get to know everybody here. And I have a ton of fun with the people who join Discord. There's about a dozen people from this channel that in Discord help each other and give advice back and forth. They review resumes. They fill in for me when I can't help people. Kristen, probably some of my last conversation with my grandparents. Kristen, you haven't sounded off yet. I don't know if you know, but your gift became drink of the stream. So you've been silent, maybe putting your kids to bed. But we made whiskey sours out of your drink, and that became drink of the stream. And since the drink is finished, it must be getting late. All right. Wow, real-time Ben, impressive experience. So what else? I have tons of great memories. One of the memories I talk about a lot is when I was 7 was the first time my dad and my grandfather listened to a suggestion I made on a technical issue. It probably, yes, the whiskey sour was very good, but it probably helped me understand that my path was to be an engineer, and that my insight, like, it gave me confidence, right? Here were two adults I respected listening to me as a 7-year-old, and it made a huge impact on me. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for answering. I love it when everybody answers that question. It helps me get to know everyone here, makes it a closer community. We get to know everyone else. Walking the Great Wall. Yeah, Kristen, I can't pick just one either. The Great Wall is awesome. Matchstick Man, thank you for gifting a sub to Kristen. That's really nice of you. I appreciate that very much. You're a great supporter of the channel, and I really I appreciate everyone who supports it. For those of you who don't know, I donate everything I get from this channel to the Washington Trails Association, but I really appreciate it because it's a way I can support them, and you all support me in doing something good, and it makes me feel valued that you value the work I do here and the time we put in trying to help people. The thing I really love, though, is that this show's community pulls together in our Discord to advise each other, to review resumes, to help people with difficult situations, to give them different perspectives, to network for jobs. I love the fact that we have a community that does that. And if you haven't joined it or you can't spend time there, go catch up. Read the career success stories, because you can get some of what I do here once a week there 24/7. All right. We'll go to the next question. We have only a couple more in the extension, so we'll answer those and call it a night. Do you think this career plan information is applicable for somebody that's still in their early years of college without a clear sense of what their career would be? Absolutely. Okay. Just substitute life plan, substitute work plan, substitute work dreams, change the words. hopefully you didn't go into college only for a degree that like your parents told you you had to, or that you were pressured into and you hate. My sister got basically a degree in nutrition because my dad told her she should, and she hated it and she never used it. So she wasted 4 years basically having been bullied into something. Don't do that. And of course, Will Scarlett immediately says that's him. Hopefully, Will, you'll find some good in it. So you have some idea, if you're not Will, you have some idea what it is you want to do. You can have a plan around how you want to progress that career and what careers in your field look like. And if you didn't go to college, that's fine too. The point is having some plan, having an idea of how you're going to make a living and how you're going to work your way from one spot to another and what the steps are going to be and what you're going to be passionate about and enjoy enough to give your whole heart to. I haven't covered this exactly, so let me say it. Disciplined professionals can do work in things they don't like for some period of time, but it won't be their best work. People who really love what they're doing, on average, produce better results. Now, yes, there's people who love to sing and suck at it. You hear them in the shower howling away. There's people who think they're good artists or think they're good programmers or think they're good writers, and they're not. But mostly, passion carries people through to do great work because great work takes skill, it takes time, it takes care. And if all you're doing is, gee, how do I get this good enough that I can check the box? It's not going to be very good. And everybody knows people. Everyone knows somebody. It's a family member, or if you're already in a job, somebody who's only at their job checking the box. They're 40 years old and they're already waiting until they're 65 or 70 and they can retire to a trailer park outside of Des Moines to get out of the job they're going to hate for the next 20 years. Well, how good is their work going to be? Now, here's an important point though. I said earlier, have a plan, but don't be stuck on it. I covered at the beginning of the stream, which some of you heard and some of you may not have. I covered on the beginning of the stream, I got trained as an engineer. Well, first I thought I was going to do a PhD and it was taking too long, so I went into industry. So I had a plan. I changed it, but I had a plan until I had a new and better one, which was take this job. And then I took a job. At that job, I had another plan, which is be an engineer, be a coder, develop technology. Until the guy above me got a Klingon execution and they said, hey, do you want this leadership job of this guy we just threw out of the job? And I said, yeah, I want it. I want to try that. And I found my calling in management. So if you're early in your career or college, you don't have to, your plan doesn't have to be your forever plan. It's your best plan until you discover something better. But the alternative is have no plan. And I certainly don't advise that. Because then you're just wandering around hoping for good things to happen or hoping you figure it out. And at least in my business, we have a saying, which is hope is not a strategy. Hope is just hope. So, yeah, you can have multiple plans. You can have a plan A and a plan B. You can have an if this happens. Sure, have as complicated of a plan as you want. All right. We have one more question with more than one vote. What does a career plan look like? If you want to ask any other questions, this is